All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Dr. Stone.
Sorry.
I'm like, I thought I had the stomach issue. All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Dr. Stone, Season
1. Oh, 2.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Dr. Stone, Season 2, Episode 10. Okay, right, we have found Tsukasa's sister. Oh boy, oh
so
boy, oh boy.
Not only might be able to save her, but based on the way that the revival fluid stuff works, there's a possibility that she could be saved from the stuff that was afflicting her before this stuff happened. So obviously it's not going to be just, well, let's just dump the revival fluid on her and it'll work. We'll, study and, test to see, like what we can do here. And then maybe not remove like all of the petrification potentially. Just I don't know how it'll work. We'll see.
Because this is a gamble. Because if it doesn't work and they revive her, she probably can't actually be taken care of in this stone world, right?
Not necessarily.
And then Tsukasa, I think, might be a little pissed. If it does work, you might have just made a friend for life.
At the very least, they'll be able to make the decision now that they found her of what do we do from here outside
you sure you want to do this, man?
Of putting the revival fluid on her.
Right.
So that's its own thing. But this is a big moment where we could have a full-on alliance after this episode, depending on how things go. However,
Hyoga
things
still
going with
is a
Hyoga,
thing.
so there are some possibilities for disruption, and depending on how that disruption goes, that could make the alliance even easier, because now you have a third-party problem that they can then ally against.
Right.
Or it can make it even worse, because Hyoga might not be so direct that it's obvious that it's Hyoga who's the problem.
Yep. Like, let's say her body's damaged, and they're like, oh, we'll repair it. And he just, like, pilfers some of the pieces, and, oh, no, we couldn't find them.
Yep. Who knows, then?
Yeah.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Oh my god, that episode was just incredible.
That was so freaking good.
It's so fast, too. I think the thing that still blows my mind every once in a while is Dr. Stone's pacing, especially in this season, I want to say, is like unnaturally fast at times. And this episode took a kind of a peaceful resolution and flipped the whole thing into chaos and conflict.
And resolved it in the same episode.
And potentially resolved it. The issue is that Homura is still out there.
Yes.
And then also
Hyoga is not dead. He's just tased and he'll recover from that eventually.
Right, the wannabe cop guy is out there as well.
I don't think he's an issue.
Yeah, I don't think he's an issue either. I think
he's going to be like the comedic person that ends up joining up with them and all that stuff.
Eventually,
it'll be great.
Right. But I really love how they took their time still, even though this was really fast, with having little moments of like, okay, she's revived.
Yep.
You've been asleep for all this time, for a few thousand years. And I could feel the emotion about it. Like, I don't have a personal, like, relatable, like, connection to this situation. But just the emotion on Tsukasa's face, and then hearing the voice acting from Mirai, it was just, got me, man. Got me good.
Well, this was the thing that I had that was relatable, even though the situation was different. So, Caleb, think about this. Having someone who is chronically ill that you feel like you haven't even had in your life for several years.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden you get to see them again, and you're old now.
Yeah. Whoa.
But I loved the fact also that that freaking, oh my god, why am I forgetting her name? Gorilla Girl that's so wonderful.
Oh,
Kohaku.
Yeah.
That she was like,
I know exactly what this was like.
This is like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wanting to save your sister and medicine. You don't have medicine stuff to be able to do it.
But doing everything you can just to patiently wait for that time where a cure presents itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really love how also, despite this being a thing where we can tell that they're maybe trying to write Tsukasa out of the story a little bit, and we had the dramatic backstory and all that, and then the resolution of all of his motivations and stuff. So, he might die here. In fact, he probably will die.
And
there is
Suika
ways
Tsukasa,
Senku could bullshit his way to an amazing miracle, because we've now established that the revival fluid in combination with the petrification can basically do anything to reset a human being.
But I don't think...
The only thing that I can think of is that they find a way to set in the petrification in a way on...
Right, they
Tsukasa.
take a bunch of the broken pieces and stuff and stuff the hole in his chest, and then pour it on there and hope that it adapts to whatever it needs to be, not that it actually has a memory of what it used to be.
You know what? Almost might be perfect?
What?
What if Senku figures that out and he's like, this is a possibility, and then Tsukasa says, no, don't you dare take a human life and sacrifice them.
Yeah. Of cutting out the piece that they would need to slide it in.
Right. That's a human person's
body
and stuff.
Yep.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, now, I think he's gone.
He's probably gonna die. We're probably gonna have a really emotional scene with Mirai basically crying over him. Nissan,
Yep.
I'm
God, waking up and being like, oh yeah, my brother is so much older now, but okay. And then he's dead. And he died to save her
in the span of a day. And the really rough thing is that what might happen is that they're so far away that it might take them a while to even catch up to finding them.
Sure.
So it's literally going to come down to Senku being able to maybe figure out some way to stabilize him, because since the stab wound went through both ways, you can't use gravity to any positive effect here. No matter what you do, no matter where you position Tsukasa in any way, the blood is going to keep coming out, and you're
and then there's the whole breathing issue.
Well, that's the thing that will definitely kill him. But I'm talking about the faster way even than that, potentially, which is just blood loss.
Now if they did want to save him, this would be really pushing it, but I think it is possible. I'm not sure if it's possible. I can't remember.
To live without one lung.
To live without a lung.
It is possible.
And if
it is possible.
And if they did do that, that would actually be
it's a cool way to actually nerf him.
Tsukasa, because then he can't be super active as much anymore, right? So then it's I'm still here, the character survives, but you don't have the plot breaking abilities, because
the primate of
because think about it. Even in this situation where you had someone else that was crazy strong, that got the attack, that got the first hit in and seriously wounded Tsukasa, right? Still, even if it wasn't enough to actually defeat Hyoga just like that, Tsukasa was still able to protect Senku like a beast. So having a full top-notch, everything perfect health Tsukasa in the story would have been a bit crazy.
Yeah, what might be another cool way that they could do this, if you want to have Tsukasa die, is he'll be the one person to murder in this world, is that he walks over
and kills
Hyoga and goes, and now I'll take murder with me.
Right.
Build a better world. Protect my sister. Senku, I know you'll keep your promise, so I just want to thank you in advance for doing this all.
Right.
And then it's just Senku being like, fist bump, and then they say
end
goodbye.
Of the prologue of Dr. Stone.
End of the prologue, right. This arc, if you will, ends with Tsukasa's death.
Yep.
And it goes out on his terms. It goes out in a way where Senku was not forced to kill him. This was something that Hyoga did.
Right.
This is something that, in some ways, Tsukasa indirectly had to basically potentially suffer the consequences of a little bit of his ideology, bringing back someone like Hyoga, and not necessarily someone that
right. It is a bit poetic that Tsukasa did also kind of cause this.
Yeah, indirectly.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I loved the raw tension and emotion here, because once we had that moment with Hyoga eyeing the dynamite and going, it was something where we're like, the mask is off. Literally, he pulls off the mask and reveals his true self, and we're like, oh, okay,
lovely,
wonderful, okay. And then we're just waiting for what kind of play will he make, and then the idea that he used Homura as the distraction to then blow up a bunch of dynamite at the Miracle Cave.
Right.
So that creates this chaos and everyone's, panicking here. But Senku immediately, because of Ukyo's ability to discern that the only person that would have been able to mess with his hearing in this way would have been, I believe, Homura.
Right.
Which means that if Homura was rescued, then it would have had to have been, by extension, Hyoga.
Right. Because Tsukasa definitely wouldn't have blown up the Miracle Cave.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
Yeah. So
yeah.
The
twist reveal that Hyoga was all along very much like Gin and Aizen kind of situation, just waiting for that moment of like, no, there's no way I could actually beat you.
Yep. And I appreciate that the overpowered strongest primate, surprise attack if you really don't see it coming, or if you do, but you have to protect somebody. You can't stop that.
You cannot stop that.
I mean, theoretically, maybe they could have had there be something where like Tsukasa is just like such lightning reflexes that he like catches the spear, and that would have, if they wanted to turn it from dramatic tension to just rule of cool, let's see Hyoga piss himself, that would have been awesome. If it's just like, who was this pointed at?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think
sadly no.
I think the panic he had in there was that he was weaponless, for one.
Right.
But also, he knows how
dangerous Hyoga is.
Dangerous Hyoga is specifically with his spear, and the way he would bend the bamboo of the spear or whatever it was to potentially even weave it around.
Or just take a second hit,
Yeah, exactly. Like just 1, 2, 3, and then either way. So by actually taking it all the way in there, he restricts his next attacks or anything like that from being so.
Right. And this is also something that is such like panic, adrenaline, like fraction of a second.
Exactly. Senku knew what was up, but Tsukasa did not.
Right.
When he saw the Miracle Cave blow up, he might have thought that Senku did something.
Right, and then Senku comes up and he's like, get her away!
Get her away! Yeah, exactly. And so in that moment, all he can do is just, I will protect her. She will not die here. All of this, this truce, this everything, this ceasefire is just because there was hope that we would get her free. She is free. She is alive. There is hope for her. I do not have to wait. She might die. No.
Right.
I will die 1,000 deaths before I let anyone touch her. Yeah.
Right. And I like to think that that the previous Tsukasa, right? The Tsukasa that didn't have hope that his sister would ever really come back, that was doing all these things because of the pain and the spite and the all the nastiness in his heart, right? That maybe the Tsukasa would have done things differently that might have even ended up better for Tsukasa, and who knows, his sister might have still been okay, right? But because he was so changed by the fact that, oh my God, maybe, okay, science was able to save my sister, right? There is hope for this stone world. Suddenly his instinct isn't to kill, to fight, it's to protect.
God, the way in which we show these little details that I just love that are important in my mind is that, Tsukasa had already cleared the gap between his sister and him by like 10 yards at this point. Right. And then Senku shows up and Hyoga's like, immediately goes and thrusts directly at Mirai. Kill shot. And then like, like the fact that he's like splayed out here in almost like a sacrificial
his arms were out. There was nothing of him trying to catch it or anything like that. It was just okay.
I will put my body in the way. I very much love it because Tsukasa is a character that I sorely underestimated because in a lot of ways I just forgot a lot of the stuff that happened at the beach in season 1. And so seeing this side of him here now that he has hope, it's really cool because all those things that made him so dramatically, cartoonishly powerful.
Awful. Yeah.
Well, no, not awful.
Oh, okay.
Powerful. Are now being used in a way that is for protecting someone, and the context of them completely changes.
Right. And by the way, when I said awful, I didn't mean him as a character. I meant him as a person.
I know. Yeah.
Just
cool
for people watching.
Still murder.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. But the idea that then all this leads to a confrontation with someone who's not even really interested in anything special here from Tsukasa. He's just like, no, Tsukasa needs to be moved out of the way.
Yep.
So that I can, dictate the rulings and be the
exactly.
god that he was in the situation of deciding who lives and dies and who gets revived.
I will say, this is something that what concerns me about this is not that Hyoga is this bad, right?
Oh,
because okay, that makes sense, right? That was pretty clearly established. But the fact that it seemed that Homura was aware, right? Because ever since the beginning, Hyoga's real, goal or whatever objective has been. Did she know that he was always trying to kill Tsukasa? Like even if she didn't know his method, like the methods he would use and things like that, I was really hoping that Homura would eventually be like the person where it's like, yeah, give her cotton candy a few more times, like where she could kind of be brought into the group. But given the fact that there's her, the police guy, and Hyoga might get away from this, because if Tsukasa dies and Hyoga wakes up before the rest of them get there,
I mean, all they have to do is just decide to kill him.
Totally.
It's not hard.
Right. No.
There's literally a spear right by, so.
Yes, exactly. Right. And even if Tsukasa didn't, Senku totally could.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see them have that talk about playing God in this final episode here of the season, because when they decided to tag team, like in that badass moment where they walk up together and stuff, it's not to stop him, it's to kill him.
Right. Yeah. Like I love that Senku was like, yep, we're going to murder him with the power of
science and might.
Yeah. It's like, okay, all right.
It's like, yeah, they don't really have a choice here.
This guy's a problem.
This guy's ideology is a hyper version of Tsukasa's. Tsukasa's was the idea that I can create a perfect world by instilling the idea that all we'll do is just share this new world together and keep it exactly as it is.
Right.
And basically just say, no, we will not advance beyond this because we're in this primitive
we'll try
state.
and make a utopia of this, basically.
Right. We'll need each other so much that this will create, like you said, a Shangri-La. It's like, okay,
drive everyone together.
Good luck with that.
Right.
But eventually you just get too many people and it's hard to manage anyway. So in this case, he's like, no. I will only select the perfect ones.
Right.
Oh my god! I love
it's very similar to what Tsukasa was doing, just for very different motivations. You know?
Yeah, but it's different in that he is basically saying, I will get so selective about the people there that it will be based on things that will have to be determined after reviving them. So this is the disgusting thing, is that from Hyoga's perspective,
right? Unless he has like someone like Asagiri again, or someone who has like trivia of like, ooh, these people are all like, big potentials. Yeah.
But the most likely thing that he would have to do is the selection would happen after they're revived.
Yeah.
He revives them and he goes, oh, disappointing. Head decapitated.
Right.
Next. And then he revives another one.
Sure.
Oh.
Well, and probably going around and being like, okay, elderly and infirm, where are they? Okay, that we can just get rid of those right now.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's, like you said, inferred by the way that Hyoga describes this there, that goes beyond what Tsukasa was. Because Tsukasa had this belief that if they were young enough, meaning they hadn't been imprinted upon by the old world, that they were more capable of changing, which is true.
Sure.
In the standpoint that, yes, you have not basically had that wealth of experience that an older person would have that would shift your perspective, but this is more just like no. I will rule with an iron fist and determine that
maybe if you get reincarnated Tsukasa and you get the chance to do this again, look for any swastikas like on their body or things like that before you revive them. But
because Hyoga clearly has one on his ass cheek or something. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. But
gotcha. Yeah. That's I have to throw something out here. I know what you mean as a joke here, but you do not have to literally be a swastika bearing person
I know.
in order to have a selection-based ideology with regards to saving humanity.
Yeah,
there is no monopoly that like people have or any ideology have on this kind of bullshit.
Yeah, human beings are pretty depraved when you think about it. That's why Tsukasa's plan in the end wouldn't work, right?
Right.
And Hyoga,
and yet why he also thinks he needs the plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while Hyoga's whole thing and the way he was drawn and everything is very much like the
he's insane.
He's insane, right? Yeah. And it's the good. He'll probably die here, and then he won't be a villain in the rest of the story because that'd be a pretty uninteresting villain long term. All things
unexhilarating!
Considered.
10 billion
exactly. But you know, not all of the people that have those opinions would necessarily be spearmasters. You know, like
sure,
like yeah,
sure. So they wouldn't be a dominant force in this stone world, basically.
Right.
And then they could just get laughed at and, you know, ostracized until like,
sure.
Hey, how about you go live in the wilderness?
Why don't you go think about that?
Yeah, why don't you go think about what you did? You freaking like moron. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to come back to like real society?
No. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bye again. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fight, brilliant. I loved the way Senku had used the resources and how did he do this in such a short amount of time?
Yep.
It's not important. The point is that he used things that were available to him.
Right. And like the whole thing with the batteries and stuff, the idea that because this was a truce and things like that, and he could tell that things were potentially pretty dangerous, he probably prepped that as like I'll have this, you know, like ready just in case. And then when he cut his finger, he's like, cool, I'll bandage that up and take the wire and put it on there, and he won't know that I've done this.
Right. And then also just having probably that little bit of time after they've been out of the river, you know, to basically be like, oh, I'm caring for Tsukasa, but I'm also with my right hand or whatever. I'm adjusting some things. Having it be a stun gun.
Yep. Yeah, because again, it's the thing where then Senku can actually use the weapons of science on people and not sort of have it take the dark turn of, you know, he's blowing people up and things like that. It's a stun gun, you know. Yeah.
And then, of course, the just dramatic
the visuals for everything were super satisfying.
Shocked and stunned. That was that was so satisfying. Oh my god. He almost looked like he had like Einstein hair, you know. Just like...
And when Senku like was showing basically that he had a stun gun, it was like not an Eneru face, not quite like from One Piece, but pretty close, like as close as you could do in the Dr. Stone art style. Yeah, like which was just wonderful.
I mean, you laugh and you say Eneru face, but didn't literally the wannabe police guy when he found the camp didn't he literally have like almost an Eneru face like?
Yeah, he did. Oh my god.
I mean, not exactly. It's a Dr. Stone version. He had the eyes, you know,
but,
out.
Yeah, that was great.
But yeah. Okay. With this final episode, though, Tsukasa will probably die. There is a world line where he survives. Because, like you said, human beings can survive without a lung.
I'm not positive on that, but I think so. And that would be a fun way to solve the plot problem while keeping Tsukasa in the story.
Yeah. My problem, more specifically with that, is that unless you're going to jury-rig the stun gun to burn his flesh together so that he can... you know, deal with this. The problem is that the lungs connect to each other through the bronchial tubes, so the blood that would flow into his lungs would eventually pile up and then go up the tube into his other lung, and then he would just suffocate.
Right.
And die.
I don't think we have, like, okay, Yuzuriha is very good with her hands and stuff.
But she's not here.
But she's not a surgeon.
Well,
you know, like,
okay.
Like if they want to do some stuff where it's like, Senku's like, okay, Yuzuriha, calm your nerves and do exactly what I tell you.
No, the Senku is the raw ingenuity of humanity personified. Right. Yep. So if he has memory of how to do it.
I read a medical manuscript one time. You know?
Right. And while I would love to have a poignant kind of powerful death scene,
right,
I really do think it is possible for Tsukasa to be left around in the story in a weakened state, like you were saying, so that he's able to have these interactions with his sister.
Indeed.
But we don't need to have either one of those paths taken specifically.
Yeah.
Both work. So the final just high five, that could be it.
I want to see the panel for that. That must have been so freaking awesome. Like just the panel where they high five lying there together. Like, oh man.
Yeah, because in some ways it'd be hard to note the motion if you did it from this perspective where you show each of them lying down.
Right.
You can have that as a panel.
You have like the impact with their hands like just past each other.
Yeah, like a little bit of wave lines and stuff, and then just across. Yeah, that could be pretty cool.
But
cool.
Man.
But yeah, I loved everything about this episode.
And apparently the next episode is called Dr. Stone Prologue.
What?
Okay.
What even is this show?
Oh man.
My God. Any little notes here?
If Tsukasa does die, and his sister becomes a member of the Kingdom of Science moving forward and everything, I would love to see interactions between her and Suika as they just become best friends.
Yes.
I would love that so much.
That would be sweet. Well, she's definitely going to survive all this. It's just a question of does
she have a brother?
Well, right, but does Hyoga, if he survives this or not, either way,
I hope he does.
Does his aspect of the conflict spiral out, into something
I don't
bigger?
know. I don't think so. I feel like this is the I feel like this is the conclusion so that way they can me too. Just Tsukasa's just like he's about to get up and then Tsukasa's just like
no.
But I feel like this is where then we'll get into the stuff that the mangaka is really excited about of like, all right, now here's where it gets good. It's like, wait, it's already been amazing. No. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Right, because we've still got, and we need to just be reminded this is the thing. We've still got a civilization of people that split off from Kahaku's village a long time ago to the point where they have a rule of at that point was that we don't interact with outsiders, right?
Yep.
So those people went off somewhere, had babies, and did, just whatever to build their own civilization. They could be out there.
Right.
There could be other areas where people stumbled across revival fluid.
Absolutely.
And have been building their own, civilizations and stuff.
Theoretically.
For 1,000 years, for all we know.
There's also the whole idea of the petrification and getting into how that happened potentially. And then also, given the fact that this is apparently what is the prologue of Dr. Stone, just 3 core, no big deal.
Explore the world.
Where is Dr. Stone going to end? You said something that I thought was crazy back then of that it would go to space. But if this is the end of the prologue, I legit would not be surprised if this show ended with them going to space.
Yeah, the way I think it's going to end is they need to go back to that space station to use the observational data of the event that happened.
Right.
Which might be there deep in the computers and what have you. And then if they harvest that data, they can then determine what happened. And if they then determine what happened, they determine its origin point or something like that.
The space station's probably fallen by now, though. I don't it probably would need at least some fuel brought back up to it or something.
Who knows?
It'd be
Who knows?
self-sustaining, but
who knows? It might just be an orbiting satellite at this point.
Yeah.
But either way, then they can go back to the Earth, find where this originated from.
Right, exactly.
Because we know, based on the episode that showed them in the space station watching the boom, happen.
Right, they did have that moment where they were like,
oh, it originated over here somewhere.
Yeah, and then they were like, oh, but I can't remember what the reason was for why they went down where they did or something. It was like,
I think it's just the trickiness of, the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And,
sure, or maybe it was like, I need to, find my son or something like that. I can't remember.
But before we make assumptions of there, that's where the show has to end.
Right. It does seem to be pointing in that direction. Yeah.
But and then this whole little meaningless conflict here is just one of where, this is what happens when you play God. And it's rough because in some ways, Senku and Tsukasa could have absolutely rebuilt humanity together.
Oh, yeah.
Finding a really healthy compromise along their ideologies where Tsukasa's whole thing doesn't have to be entirely thrown out. Where he can basically say, Senku, let's actually do this very slowly with regards to reviving people.
Right.
He can be like, hey, I'm all for
infrastructure,
this,
you know.
but
like,
let's think about
Yep.
the fact that if we were to revive, 1,000 people, how quickly would we be creating basically an enemy that doesn't necessarily share?
And we wouldn't necessarily be able to take care of 1,000 people.
No.
You know, like how does that work and everything? Like, because the thing is that the problem with Tsukasa's ideology was the part that was unnecessary of the killing statues.
Yeah,
you know,
he didn't need to do that.
Because he never really needed to do that. The decision of who do I wake up? Yeah, that's a real head scratcher, right?
That's a very good head scratcher.
Like that's and I would have loved to see them both talking about that together, right?
Yeah.
But so theoretically, like especially with his sister back, since that's kind of where the killing of the statues came from,
Right. Yeah.
he would have been probably a really good friend and an amazing ally throughout the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm. I loved the callback that Tsukasa had of, I broke my promise to you.
Yeah.
But you kept yours.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
I messed up. That's on me. So here, now I'm going to make that promise up to you and you won't get harmed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And even still, it was something where you could tell that's like the perfect way to showcase not just what makes Tsukasa's character great, is that strength used to protect suddenly becomes this not monstrous thing, but this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Where it's sacrificial.
Right. And it was beautiful this episode.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we were able to have all of the positive, wholesome, sort of optimistic things that Dr. Stone does so well in an episode that also had a shit ton of action blows me away.
Yeah.
Like that was this episode was incredible.
Yeah. I also was thinking of the choreography that he was using against Hyoga. And I think he was trying to find some way to disable the spear's effectiveness, but he just couldn't. He's that weak already.
Yeah.
So his punches weren't actually shattering the spear in any way.
And it's easy to say, like, well, why didn't he just grab the spear? Hyoga is a master spearman, so he was probably being fast enough with it, with the stab and retract.
Keeping him at range.
And keeping him at range that he couldn't really do it.
And also is the other thing. If he gets into a grapple contest, all Hyoga has to do is hit that wound again.
Right.
So he has to not only strike fast enough to keep Hyoga on his guard so that he doesn't use the spear's length to its extreme advantage, but he has to keep his own guard up to keep that vulnerable spot from being an auto win button for Hyoga.
Exactly.
So, yeah, very solid action, and then great emotional moments, and also just a badass moment of them walking together after doing the fist bump. I'm a big fan of that in shows.
Oh yeah, fist bumps in general, especially when the people have been like enemies or antagonistic to each other or had an argument or something like that, and it's like, all right, fist bump.
Enemy of my enemy. Let's
Let's kick ass.
Let's kick ass. This is so good.
Yep.
And then the twist of the tag team being something that Hyoga was like, no, we will be the tag team, the strongest tag team that rules the world.
Right.
Come, Senku. I will make you say yes. However many fingers and legs it makes you, like, we have to go through to get there.
Yep. Because really, that's where he was like, Tsukasa, you didn't go far enough. Yeah, you tried to get Senku to help you out originally, but once he stopped agreeing with you, why did you try and kill him? Like that, man. No. This is you're throwing away one of the most amazing gifts you could have ever had. You have someone who knows all the science shit that can make that be on your side. But
but okay, y'all, finale next week. But you can also watch
boy.
it right now. If you want to go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon, you get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all of this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.